Can a pass rusher with historically low production at the collegiate level be the answer for the Arizona Cardinals coming off the edge? Bo Brack, Johnny Venerable, PHNX Cardinals. Subscribe to PHNX Cardinals here on YouTube. Like this video. We're going to be getting into it with our guy Fran Duffy, breaking down Texas A&M edge Johnny Shemar Stewart, somebody that's in the conversation for the first round, and of course a position of need for the Redbirds.
Cardinals used the top 30 visit on the ex-Texas A&M standout, but what stood out to us, well, he has a sack and a half for 3 years straight at Texas A&M. It used to be the guy said, be wary of the 1 year boom or bust, right? The guy who had a great season, but it wasn't until his junior or senior year. Shemar Stewart never had a great season on paper for Texas A&M, but here's what he does great. He works out great in shorts, 4.59 40-yard dash, 10-yard split, elite, 1.58 at the NFL Combine. He's a freak show. Is he a moldable piece of clay for Jonathan Gannon and Nick Rallis, or is he a guy that, at the end of the day, not a great football player? Great athlete, but not a great football player. You've got people around the league that feel like this could be the exception to the rule, like an Everson Griffin once upon a time, where he can come into the league and be a much better pro player than college player. And I go back to guys like DK Metcalf. Granted, fell into the third round, had about 500 yards his last year at the college level, came to the NFL, was a tremendous player. So it's not apples to oranges, but Stewart is somebody, listen, that at the end of the day, if he goes top 20, we shouldn't be surprised.
Right. I mean, but the production, you match it up against a guy that the Cardinals got in day 3 and Jesse Luketa. I mean, that's the type of numbers you're putting up college level.
Yeah.
Can he buck those trends? Was it all a scheme issue down there as far as the Aggies go in Texas Tech, which were absolutely a mess? Nobody will deny that. But I think Jonathan Gannon giving maybe his blessing, or Monty Austinfort seeing through those numbers, would be a sign that the Cardinals believe that this 6'6" frame that can get up to about 290 pounds plus, that they can mold it like a piece of clay. What's our draft expert analyst, Fran Duffy, think about Shemar Stewart? Here's his full breakdown.
All right, time to talk through Texas A&M pass rusher Shemar Stewart. And this is a guy that absolutely looks the part. Former 5-star and #1 defensive end recruit coming out of high school. Goes to Texas A&M, spends 3 years with the Aggies, and now here he is getting ready to jump into the NFL. Let's get into the bio here a little bit. Primarily used off the edge, outside the tackle. Very few reps where he kicked inside. He did it at times on pass rush downs, but most of his time was spent out wide. Now, when you look at what are the strengths here? What are the positives in the profile for Shemar Stewart? I mentioned the body type. He looks like Tarzan. He's got outstanding length, a near 85-inch wingspan. He played at over 280 pounds, got down to 267 for the combine, and he said in Indianapolis, I've got the ability to get down to 250 if you need me, or I can play close to 290. So that versatility, that is something that can be valuable for teams, because number one, you've got the ability to do different things for a defensive line coach, but also for all the different teams, you might be able to envision multiple paths to success for this player. What I like him best, line him up out wide, let him use that explosiveness that he showed off at the combine. We'll get into some of these numbers here, but show off that explosiveness and just be a pocket crusher. Line up with a runway and just vault into the offensive tackle and collapse the pocket. That is where he is at his best right now. But when you're looking at, I mentioned the combine testing, 267 pounds. He ran a 4.59 in the 40-yard dash. That's not as freaky as expected. I think some people are expecting a little bit of a better number there, but still really impressive for that size. What was most impressive was the jumps. 40 inches in the vert, 131 inches in the broad jump. That's nearly 11-foot standing broad jump for a guy that's 267 pounds. That is alien qualities there from this guy, from Shemar Stewart. Now, that is really exemplary of his power, his explosiveness, and you do see that on film. His ability to close is really impressive. His straight line juice, that ability to get from A to B, especially late in the down, some really good flashes of his motor in pursuit. And that's going to really, that's that catnip for a coach, right? When you see that level of pursuit from a guy that big and that explosive. But really the big thing as well, his ability to defend the run, he's very stout. He's really strong. And so he's both strong and powerful. He holds the point really well. He is consistently graded out well as a run defender. When you use a service like a Pro Football Focus, he always grades out well from that standpoint. But let's get into the negatives. And really the biggest negative, the biggest thing that he's got hanging around his neck right now, a lack of production. And it's not just in the pass game, but in the run game as well. We'll start in the pass game. Just 4.5 career sacks, 1.5 each year that he was on campus. Obviously, you want to see a better number than that, but it's not just the sack production. His pressure rate was pretty low. The win rate was pretty low. When you're looking at the run game, the number of run stops, and a run stop is defined as, was it an unsuccessful run for the offense? If it's 3rd and 1, were they able to get the first down? Or if it was 1st and 10, were they able to get more than 5 yards? That's a successful play for the offense. How often was he able to create an unsuccessful play? It was at a 3.7% clip. That is the second lowest of any defensive end drafted in the last 10 years, based off the numbers that I've seen charted from PFF. And so I think when you're looking at Shemar Stewart, this is a guy that's got all the physical tools, especially from a straight line standpoint, to be able to go from A to B and push the pocket. He's really strong, just doesn't find the football. So you get into why. Well, what are the reasons there? A couple things stand out on film. Number one, his block recognition is not great in the run game. Doesn't always see things too early in the down. Number two, I think he's got to get better with his hands at the top of the rush. Too often, he's just trying to run by offensive tackles. He needs to do a better job of understanding, how do I win at the top with my hands? How do you set up your bull rush? All of those different things to better create more effective rushes. And then number three, and this is something I don't think can be corrected, he's got some lateral stiffness to him that shows up time and time again, not just when he's trying to turn the corner as a rusher off the edge, but also when he has to break down and finish as a tackler. When you talk about, all right, well, how come he doesn't have all the production there? He's got a really, really high missed tackle rate. We're talking north of 20% missed tackle rate, which is an exorbitant number for a defensive player. And so when you're looking at that, well, why is that? If you have some stiffness to you, you aren't able to break down and finish all the time. That can lead to the lack of production we're seeing with Shemar Stewart. And I don't know that that's something that can always get corrected. You can start to see things faster. You can get better with your hands. That athletic limitation, that could be an issue for him moving forward. So if you don't get the other two things corrected, that's something that will always kind of hang there in the background. So at the end of the day, when you're looking at Shemar Stewart, I see a player that, again, I like him best personally. Line him up off the edge. Let him be that pocket pusher early on, probably off the bench early in year one. I don't think you're going to be counting on him to start as a rookie. So year one, get him off the edge, let him push the pocket. Or maybe you're asking him, hey, let's actually put more weight on you and you become more of an interior type of player. And now if that's the case, though, that's going to impact the draft value. And so while there are multiple paths to success for this player, I do think that you have to talk about what are the chances that he is able to you're able to get the return on investment for his talent. We know the talent's there. It's about trying to turn that into production and honestly disruption. Just not enough of that consistently on film with the player, but I do understand the upside.
The RAS score off the charts. Johnny, it's well documented. The Cardinals, they love that, right? Tip Ryman was an RAS freak. You got guys that have entered this organization the last 2 off seasons that did score very highly as far as RAS goes in the pre-draft. But as we sit here, we hear Fran's comments. The lack of production is the number one red flag here with Shemar Stewart. Where do you kind of put him as far as first round prospects for Gannon, Osfort, and the Cardinals?
We have our tiers that we break down every day on PHNX Cardinals for the top 30 visits. We know one thing to be true, the Cardinals have not taken a first-round pick in 3 tries unless that player has taken a top 30 visit. Shemar Stewart was one of the first for the Redbirds this offseason. So you can scoff at the notion, the production. Cardinals were interested enough to bring him to their building. I think he's a viable option to pick 16. I'm not saying he's the favorite. I've had people tell me, like, what team is going to be the idiot that takes a guy with a sack and a half every year, right? Who's going to make the mistake? I trust Gannon and Rollis. This is their baby. I trust them much more with this position than I would, like, if you're taking a receiver or a guard or even a quarterback, right, that had up and down production. If they believe he can come in and produce and he's got the physical traits to do so, so be it. It makes me uneasy, though, that in a draft with so many loaded pass rushers, both a D tackle and edge, you're taking the guy with the worst unequivocally production matching the RAS score. Usually you want to match the RAS score with the production, mirror it together and say, this is the fully baked pie. Right. Stewart, there's so much to be left up to chance, happenstance. I mean, we will know if they take him the first day of training camp, if he can play or not.
Yeah. And look, if you're taking a project in the first round, you might, I mean, as we bandied about, potential tackle options on the offensive side or corner or wide receiver, whatever it may be. Like, I think if you're willing to take a project of any kind, you should be open to, the best prospect BPA there. It just seems like Shemar Stewart has the measurables, has the athleticism that you want, but is it just a matter of can you find a way to kind of tap into that? It's the biggest question mark, I think, of the draft of any prospect. And that seems pretty risky to me. Fran has said it before on our show. He would rather another team take that risk. I'm with him in that camp. What do you say? Drop in the comments. Would you be in for the Cardinals? If the pass rush group is picked clean in the first round, if you're just dead set on getting an edge, would you take Shemar Stewart? Drop a comment, like this video, subscribe to PHNX Sports.